I'll be reading from your 300th Public Domain Periodical since February 2023. My 129th this year. These are times that no euphemism. No euphemism, gotta be raw, gotta be real. This one's called Don't Be Naive. I've seen bullet-busted faces, I've seen necks sliced ear to ear. I've seen what's bent by bludgeon when evil finds hands it can steer. I've slipped in puddled blood when a skull couldn't hold it within, because the game of Russian roulette was one my patient didn't win. I've heard weeping, mi familia, from a man who survived the knife, stabbed into him after it 3 times, took a life. A family whom he loved, enjoying an otherwise beautiful night, before someone got demonic and thought his evil was right. Medical aid, EMS, fire, and ambulance respond. For years, that was my cue. From 911 dispatched to do what I was trained to do. After 8 years of exposure, there came the call that broke my back and the proverbial straw in the camel way when a woman's death caused that crack. She had been shot through the chest and could not catch her breath. The gaze in her eyes and squeeze of my arm with her last words announced her death. How could anyone do this to another human being? It became my quest to answer this, a labor from which there is no freeing. Until I combine the words correctly that can open up the eyes to restore the presence of love in those who think their hatred's wise. Why do I say this now? Of all the things that can be said, because the President of the United States wants to make his citizens dead. Spare me your denial, your bootlicking and praise, that swears there will be blessing from the rule of arrogant ways. Your worship of law over humanity, what man made over life, arrogance in writing over heartbeats born of light. Make you feel most righteous with reason to be proud, enough to insult others and speak your falsehood loud. But that's the thing with ignorance, it always thinks it sees, because the vision lacks the love that can penetrate surrounding trees. Underdeveloped empathy neurons make them unable to tell what is another's reality versus what assumption tries to tell. What is another's reality versus what assumption tries to sell. Too many take the bait though, lack of love is cool for them. They have their lists of excuses why respect they should not extend. Please, excuse me, flipping pages. I know, this ruins it, breaks the flow, it's the way it is. I wish I didn't have to write these things, but the fact is that I do, if I am to have any decency after being what I've been through. It has already been said out loud by the 47th Tools of Rule, that being anti-fascist will be viewed illegal, not just uncool. What the fuck just happened that made legislators lose their spine to let such treason speak, then behave like that's just fine? There will be no happy ending for those who massage their greed, who, just to save some money, would let an immigrant bleed. Really? Spirit of Judas Iscariot? Alive and well? Really? Speaker Saboteur, Mike Johnson, to be sure. So this is to you, Mike Johnson. You admire men like Moses and want to hold such place as a man who is remembered for reflecting God's own face. But the integrity required to hear that holy voice does not pollute its motive with fulfilling ego's choice. The self-centered cannot see this. They will say it's not for them. that they orchestrate the circumstance that brings damnation to men, and the women who gave birth to us by the authority they insist, as their selective hearing and vision is a hypocrite's raging fist. There will be no happy ending for those who choose to curse, who will let an immigrant bleed to save some money for their purse. You should understand this. You use Christ's name in vain, not in obedience to his words, just the advantage you might gain by saying you're a follower, by saying he's your friend. All the while your cowardice is willing to let humanity end, just to appease your arrogance and existing lack of love, using strings of logic to explain how down is above. Changing it up. So thank you. Thank you, Viewmere Beach, Bar and Restaurant, Koh Larn, Thailand. It was as close to heaven as we could get as mortals on the earth. The sunset and the ambiance still make my happiness burst. You gave this poet from California a glorious place to dance, standing in the Gulf of Thailand, prayerfully grateful for the chance. Oh, how I poured a prayer while standing in the waves, to rhyme a rhythmic remedy for why humanity misbehaves. I'm not talking dogma or reasons people say others are doomed. My target is the reasoning that brings evil into the room. Specialized cells have their function that other cells might not understand, like hemoglobin to platelets until intrusion reveals their demand. The same is true of poets and many others in their role, who bring light to the unseen in matters of life and soul. Thank you for the venue that kept us thoroughly entertained, where the magic of the moment had me dancing in the rain. I loved it with all my heart. Yeah, and if you go onto YouTube and to my channel, you can see the song Stars in the Sky that fellow medic produced. Beautiful song. Actually, the video shows me standing and writing poetry in the Gulf of Thailand just before an amazing light show, fire show. Speaking of that, this one's called The Confederacy Returns. In adoration of what's wrong, MAGA sings that selfish song, welcoming civil war for the carrot that strings along, wanting to form a new nation by hijacking what they boarded, seizing the opportunity to ensure our wealth is hoarded by those who do not care for more than only their own, as if their God is tiny, partial, and unfair. They use the Lord's name in vain as they pick whom they can tear. Using the element of surprise with their double-speak and lies, trusting obfuscation for what deception hides. The predators keep approaching, encroaching for the pounce, disrespecting life for the bait swallowed by the ounce. That fruit dangled by the devil that says it will be fine. If they call a victim illegal, then abuse the living divine. Oh, that tricky trickster, slick as a lure to bass. Oh, that tricky slickster, slick as a lure to bass, to make individuals and populations become its carrying ass again. Oh, that tricky slickster, oh, that tricky trickster, slick as a lure to bass, to make individuals and populations become its carrying ass. Does that word make you uncomfortable because you'd rather hear it mule? That's how falsehood succeeds, with euphemism as its tool. The waging of war begins in the eyes, where filters of perception fashion their disguise, making those who fall for the mask that evil have its way, paralyzed in confusion by what malintent chose to say. Fractions of a second, that's the difference between life or death, which one was the quicker when the sickle is a hair's breadth, from doing what the reaper seeks to inflict the worst of pain, so death maintains its presence and evil holds its reign. Hypocrisy and violence, fuel of the 47th, to bastardize and bully and disparage what leads us to heaven. Too much trauma has touched these eyes for me to be numb to the cause, when humans swell in their ego, misusing their talons and jaws. I realize what this makes me to the ones on different path, who do not want interference with their malignancy and wrath. Drunk on the nipple of pride, the ego impairs all sight, as they circle jerk each other for doing what's not right. My name is Joseph, and that was from your 300th Public Domain Periodical since February 2023, and 129th this year. That last poem was called The Confederacy Returns. What are we gonna do about it? Don't turn on each other. That's what we should do. Don't listen to somebody who says that a lie is true and that somehow it's patriotic to run a citizen through. I know they say it's all about the immigrants and who should be and who should not, who is illegal and who is right, but it's all just a bunch of rot. You know it, if you have a conscience. If indeed you don't serve some tiny god that's all partial and, oh, you can be good to some people, but you don't have to be good to all the people. Yeah, well, I guess time will tell. But I'm investing in faith in one another and choosing not to just assume that other people deserve less respect than anyone created by the same hand.